Hi, today I'm gonna show you how to knit this zigzag cable dog sweater with belt. Let's get started. Okay guys, first of all, please check my description box for all the details. I am going to put the links you might need, such as my written pattern, step-by-step basic dog sweater, also the gauge math formula, stuff like that. Okay, because today I kind of want to focus on the tips for knitting dog sweater for bigger dog. I've never knitted it bigger size dog sweater because I don't have one. However, one of my viewers sent me a photo. She knitted it a dog sweater for 115-pound Great Dane. I know my dog sweater is size adjustable. However, I didn't know you can knit one full big Great Dane. So I kind of want to, talk about some tips for bigger dog or, different shape of the, body like a dash hund, stuff like that. As you might know, I uploaded quite a few dog sweater tutorials, right? That doesn't mean you have to follow every single instruction as I mentioned. Dog has different shape and size and all that. So you can be creative for your own dog. First of all, the leash opening location. You really have to change. I'm going to talk about that too. And sleeves. Bigger dog has thicker legs. This is my basic dog sweater. Quite, thin leg opening. It's good for smaller dog like mine. This is just a 2 rows buttonhole technique. However, the bigger dog like, Great Dane, sure, that's not big enough for them, right? So I'm gonna, talk about how to make a big leg opening. I'll show you. I turn the project inside out. Instead of the 2 row buttonhole, I made big leg opening like that. So it's good for bigger, thick leg dog. And this lady is quite creative. She used the 2 row buttonhole. However, she add some stitches before the leg opening, which is really creative. Now I want to talk about the belt. The reason I add the belt because my dog quite skinny overall. So after the leg opening, I sometimes decrease some stitches for his waist. However, his shape is like a more like a tube. However, like a Great Dane and Greyhound, those type of the dog, they have a huge chest. However, much smaller waist. And if you decrease so many stitches, it's gonna be too small to put the sweater on. So I made belt instead. So you can wrap that belt around just like this and kind of, stop hanging for the tummy part. And again, this Great Dane Mama, she add ribbon right after the tummy only. And then she add pleats instead. So make it a little bit smaller. That's very creative too. So either way, I put the belt on because it's kind of cute too. Right? So it's really up to you. You can be so creative. And if you don't need the belt, you can just knit, as just a regular my, basic dog sweater. It's really up to you. Something new you can, try. And then I add sleeves. Okay, so let's move on to the gauge and find out the cast on number. Okay, so let's find out the cast on number. You have to download my gauge formula template. There's the link in my description box if you need, so you can go there and download it. Anyway, here is my swatch and gauge. Okay, my gauge was 4" by 4", and I have 21 stitch widths on 4" and 31 rows widths on 4". And my dog's desired neck length is 12". So I'm gonna put the 12" here. 12". And the first section, 4". 12". 4" versus 12". And this is my gauge, 21 stitch, then 63. So if I want to knit at least 12". I have to make 63 cast on. And this cast on number has to be multiple of 2. And I would like to make a little bit bigger, so I pick 70. That's how you use. You don't have to do the math anymore. All right, so let's move on. This is the yarn I was using. Cast on. I made 70 or multiple of 2. Just a regular cast on. And after this, I'm gonna connect both ends and then knitting in round. So my ribbon is repeat of knit 1 and purl 1. Make sure you're facing to right side and not twisted, and just start. And you have to be very careful on the first row, because from the second row you just have to knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch. So knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1 until your desired length. I knitted it quite long, more than I believe 4", because I knew I want to fold it later on. Okay, so here comes. I knitted it quite long. I believe this is more than 4". Again, the neck rib, it's really up to you. You don't really have to fold it like this, so you can make it shorter. So before we move on to increasing and back design, we will knit 1 round with adding some markers. First of all, biggie marker, and knit 1, then slide marker A, and knit 1, then add another marker, slide marker B. In between those blue marker, that's gonna be chest stitch and has to be always 1 stitch. Also, I want you to divide by 2 sections and add side marker, front piece and back piece. You have to count stitch from mid stitch, not biggie marker. Always count from mid stitch evenly for both sides. Then add side marker. One thing I want you to remember, the back stitch count has to be multiple of 4 plus 2. So it's not going to be exact half. This is how I did. The whole stitch count for me is 70. 70 divided by 2 is 35. So 35 and 35. However, 35 is not multiple of 4 plus 2. What's the closest number to 35 with multiple of 4 plus 2, which is 38. So 38 stitch for back piece and 32 for front. So adjust the side marker. And now you have little problem. Back piece is good. The problem is the front piece. Front piece, I have 32 stitches. Breakdown is 15 stitches plus 1 mid stitch and 16 stitches for the other side. So you kind of have to adjust 1 stitch. You know what I'm saying? So you adjust number for back piece because I'm gonna add zigzag cable. That's important. And now, because of the mid chest, you can't really divide exact, in half. So just let's add 1 stitch while you're knitting. So this side, I have a less stitch, so I did make one right to increase 1 stitch. Now for front piece, I have a 33 stitches. So 16 stitch for both left and right and 1 mid stitch. So now I have total of 71. Did you get that? This is kind of important. Well, it's not super important, but if you want to be perfect. Anyway, let's move on to increasing row. After the preparation row, which is now. So increasing row number 1. Knit until the first marker. So there's only 1 stitch. So knit 1 there. And right side of the marker, you have to do make 1 red. Picking up the running thread and hook onto left needle. Make sure running thread shifting towards to right. This is the right position for make 1 right. And then knit V shape thread. So knit front thread. There you go. That's it. And slide the marker and knit mid stitch. Again, mid stitch has to be always 1. And right after the slide the second marker, you will increase 1 more stitch. Okay? With make 1 left. Using the running thread, hook onto left needle and make sure running thread shifting to left side. And then always knit V shape, which is back. It's connecting V shape at the back. So knitting like, purl. The difference is knitting back loop. That's it. So you will increase only 2 stitch. Then knit until begin marker. The increasing row number 2 is just all knit. So just repeat increasing row 1 and increasing row 2 until the length reach to top of the dog's leg. That's about it. However, for the back piece, I'm going to add zigzag design. All right? And Now I want to talk about tip 1 for bigger dog. Add show roll. What do you mean by that? If your dog is like, greyhound, quite big chest, like, picture over there. However, very small, tiny waist. So you don't really want to add too many, increase stitches. However, because they have a kind of long, the chest, you want to have length a little bit, only for the chest. So what do? Why don't you add short roll only for the front piece before increasing? Short roll is starting in mid and knitting go back and forth, and shorter, which means the mid part length is longer and longer, but the side is shorter and shorter towards to both side marker. You know what I'm saying? So you can add a little bit more length around the center of dog's chest without increasing. And then if you add few more rows for the chest, then start increasing. So you don't have to make it too big, but you have a length. You know what I'm saying? This is actually very tricky for, bigger dog like, Greyhound, Great Dane, well, sometimes, a German Shepherd type, because they have a huge chest. They have a big lung. So add in the short row and make a little bit longer for the chest, then increasing starts. That's maybe key for those type of dog. Okay, so this is back piece design. Super easy, but I just want to show you the technique for T2B and T2F. Okay, so purl 3 to start, and T2B, which is twist to back. Okay, and this involved with purl stitch cable, knit stitch, and one purl stitch. And purl stitch take place always with the back needle. That's how you remember. Okay, so T2B, 2 stitch involved, divided by 2 is 1. So pick 1 stitch with cable needle, and B means back. So put the cable needle at the back. So which is back needle? Cable needle is at the back, right? So that stitch has to be purl. You know what I'm saying? So knit 1 from left needle, come back to cable needle, then make 1 purl. Did you get that? The purl involved always with back needle. Then repeat, start, I'll show you, don't worry. Repeat of purl 2, then T2B. So pick 1 up with the cable needle and hold it at the back. So the cable needle is back. So knit 1 from the left needle, come back to cable, then now you make purl. Purl stitch takes place with back needle. Then repeat. Purl 2, I'll show you one more time. Pick up one stitch with cable needle, then leave it at the back. Cable is at the back, so knit one from the cable, right? Because you have to make knit and purl, one each, and purl always with back needle. So there we go. Come back to cable, then purl. This is twist to back. That's it. After this, you can follow my instruction. Okay? And this design is only for back. And after the back, and before the back marker, just knit and include the increasing and whatever, follow my written instruction. And I meet you back row number 7 because there's T to F. All right? Here comes back design row number 7. Purl 2, no, I'm sorry, purl 1 to start. Then T to F. Easy. The same rule. Pick up one stitch, and this time leave it out front, which is back needle. Left needle located at the back, right? Because you put the cable needle out front. Easy. So you purl first from left needle, then come back to cable, then knit one. Again, you have to purl with the back needle and repeat on purl 2. Then again, picking up one stitch with the cable needle, hold it out front. So the left needle is back, so purl 1 first, then knit 1 from cable needle. I'll show you one more time. Repeat up, purl 2 first. Then T to F, twist to front. Pick up one stitch with the cable needle and hold it out front. And left needle is located at the back, so you have to make purl first from left needle, then come back to cable needle, then this time knit 1 from cable needle. This is T to F. And you just have to repeat until last 3 stitch, and last 3 stitch will be purl 3. That's pretty much it. After you learn T to B and T to F, super easy, pretty much straightforward. So just follow my written instruction. Next, I want to talk about leash opening. I'm gonna use the 2-row buttonhole technique, same as actually usual. And leash opening starts on wrong side. For me, row number 8 should be on wrong side. So just keep knitting until where you want to add leash opening should be right in the center of back piece. And you should add marker so you're not going to miss it, right? And easy. Row number 1, just bind off. And I will tell you in a minute why you want to start on wrong side. Especially with this cable design. Okay, here comes. That's my leash opening. So bind off as many as you want. I think I have 10, something like that. And just knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch and then bind off. Or if you want to do just knit stitch, you can do that too. But after the leash opening, you will have to follow the pattern again, right? So I didn't mind do knit over knit stitch and purl over purl stitch. That'll be easier for later on. And leash opening number 2 is adding new cast anyway. So it doesn't really, matter either way. If just a knit stitch is easier for you, just knit stitch and bind off until your, desired length for leash opening. And make sure the last one, the before the marker, that's has to go too, which means bind off too. There you go. And again, after that, just keep doing whatever you have to do. So I bind off right on the wrong side, row number 8, which means next should be row number 9. And wherever, the stitches are gone, I have to add new cast. That's about it. But one thing I have to actually tell you is whenever you decide to add leash opening, you kind of have to think, at the very edge for both ends, not involving with cable knitting. Because, if you pick up the one stitch and after that there's no more stitch, what are you going to do? Right? So, try to find the right place to do this, 2 rows buttonhole. Pick a place without any cable knitting on the edge. You know what I'm saying? This is a little bit different than usual because the usual cabling is, okay, example, row number 1 cabling, and next 3 or 4 rows there's no cabling, so it's easy. However, with this zigzag, twist cable, every other row you have cable row, right? So that's the reason why I said, you have to start with wrong side and then, pick a place without cable involved. So I just finished with the purl 2. That's perfect, right? It's not involving any cable knitting. I hope you understand. And anyway, add new stitch, new cast. I bind off 10, so I add 10. And if actually you pick the wrong place, don't worry. Just do your best. If you skip the the cable row for just the once, it's not gonna be end of the world. Okay, so just don't worry. However, if you wanna knit perfect dog sweater, you think a lot of things. Anyway, so obviously after the adding new cast, just keep knitting whichever row you're on. Okay, so now let me tell you why I told you the leash opening starts on wrong side. Row 9, right side. This is end of the 2 rows buttonhole. Now row number 10, which is wrong side. After the new adding the new cast, it's hard to do the cable knitting. So right after the adding new cast, I wanna do wrong side, which is no cable knitting. This is the only reason I told you you have to start leash opening on wrong side. Okay? And only with this pattern, because again, this zigzag cable design, you have to do cable knitting every other row. Okay? If with the other cable design, you don't really have to worry about it, but I tried to avoid cable knitting right after the adding new cast. That's the only reason. Okay, now tip 2, location of the leash opening. It's a little bit important. My dog harness is right on the shoulder, not the neck. Okay? And this is actually perfect location that I made the leash opening for him. The reason why I care about it, because if you add leash opening right after the rib, neck rib, okay, you kind of have to pull down like that. So even though you're knitting long enough for dog's neck, if you put the leash opening wrong place, that make neck rib shorter. My dog is small enough, 10 pounds. So it doesn't really matter, because shorter length from neck to, leash harness. However, if it's bigger, that makes big difference, right? You knitting and knitting and knitting for long enough for the neck, and then pulling the neck rib down, or the other way around. If you put the leash opening kind of too late, you pull up, so that makes sweater too short. So you gotta be careful too. Okay, so I just finished the row number 12, and this design complete on row number 12, and you just have to repeat row number 1 to row number 12 until your desired length. And next time I want to stop and talk about is when I start leg opening. I usually use the 2-row buttonhole for the leg opening as well, but this time I want to make it bigger, so use different technique. Okay, so leg opening. After the leg opening, I'm not going to increase any more stitches for the chest. And this is, towards to end of the wrong side. Can you see my, pink biggie marker? That's end of the row. And next row should be right side of the row, obviously. Before you finish the wrong side, add markers for leg opening. All right, this is the end of the back design. And right after the back design ends, I add markers. And this is still wrong side. I'm not finishing wrong side until that I hit the pink begin marker. And after this, I'm going to knit flat only for back piece. Okay? In other words, I'm going to knit front piece and back piece separately, but it has to be on the same level. So you have to count rows. And you need 2 stitch holders for that leg part. I'm not going to bind off. Okay, I'm going to save the leg stitches. Okay, so whenever you kind of separate back and front, I'm going to knit only back piece until leg opening is big enough for your dog, for my dog. And you count rows whenever you're knitting. And finish on the wrong side again. Then you knit front piece, same row as back piece. Then connect. Okay? Some people don't understand maybe what I'm talking about, but when you see what I'm doing, you probably know. Okay? So again, you just have to count from the mid stitch evenly and make sure, you know, it's balanced out, you know, evenly for the leg opening, right? So anyway, this is still wrong side. Okay, leave the I'll actually remove the marker, but don't, and just knit and finish the wrong side. Whenever you knit, okay, until the second marker, the yellow one, you transfer all the leg stitch onto stitch holder. If you don't have the stitch holder, you can use the scrap yarn. Okay, some people bind off this one, but you have to knit up anyway later. So I want to keep the save the you know, the stitch if I can, because I'm a little lazy. There you go. And now you can remove the you know, yellow leg marker. And what do you have to do? You just knit that front piece and move on to the next leg. Okay? And what I'm trying to say is right after the leg opening, if you start increasing, your leg kind of spreads, right? So if you don't need to increase, you shouldn't increase after the leg opening. But, you know, if it's 1 or 2 stitches, fine. Or you can actually increase evenly, that's fine too. Anyway, knit until the other side of the leg, and then you do same thing. Knit all the way to the next leg opening second marker, then transfer them onto stitch marker. All right? Here comes. There you go. Both leg stitches are on a stitch holder. And right here, for the front stitches, if you don't like those stitches on the needle because it's kind of hard to knit for the back piece, you can always, you know, transfer temporarily on a scrap yarn or whatever. I'll do that anyway. because that way it's maybe easier for you to, watch what I'm doing. Be- because I don't have to kind of, struggle with the cable needle, right? So just leave them on the scrap yarn for now. Now, again, as I told you, I am going to knit only for back piece. I have a written pattern for flat. It's simple. The wrong side, you just have to knit and purl over purl. But because, there is so many, twist cable, sometimes it's really hard. So if you want to, follow the flat pattern, go ahead. Anyway, so just knit back piece only until you knit enough for leg opening. Okay, the 2 rows buttonhole, you can make it wider, but doesn't look too good. If you have a huge, the leg opening in front, right? Because it's just a whiteness. So this way, I'm gonna actually make square for the leg opening, which is easier for your dog to running around. Also easier for you to put the sweater on as well. Okay, so right here, important thing is you have to count rows, and then you have to stop after the wrong side, because whenever you knit front piece, you have to reconnect, right? And reconnection take a place on right side because you have to knit in round. And I just want to make sure one thing, okay? Right after the marker and before the back design marker, you have to just knit over knit and purl over purl. The right side knit and wrong side purl right here. Okay, outside of the back design. That was actually a part of the front piece, but now you kind of separate, right? Because of the leg opening. So make sure about it. And there we go. I knitted it enough. I think I knit about 12 rows, something like that. And the row 12 is my wrong side. And I cut the yarn because now I have to knit front piece only. Again, I have to knit until 12 rows. There we go. Why I'm knitting, starting on the right side? Because I knit once there before I start knitting back piece. But, to be really honest, if it's only one row mistake, don't worry about it. Okay? Dog wouldn't notice. Anyway, just keep knitting. Same rows as back piece. All right? Okay, let's reconnect everything, front and back. And soon as you reconnect, boom, there's the big leg opening there. So, starting with the front piece, and this is right side. Do you remember? I finished with the row number 12 for back piece. So this is kind of row number 1 for back piece. So knit all the way. Again, there's no more increasing for me anyway. So knit front piece, and then I'm going to add new cast because no more stitch and I have to, reconnect. And how many stitches, how many you hold, on the stitch holder. So I'm going to add 12 because my leg opening was 12 stitches. So I'm adding 12 new cast and then reconnect to the back piece again. Make sure it's not twisted. Okay. And if you want, you can actually knit with the other, end. So you don't really have to weave the too many ends off, right? And then you knit around and you do exactly same thing. And here comes the other side of the leg opening. I'm adding the new cast and add new begin marker, same place as before. That's why I left the begin marker on the stitch holder so I don't have to forget. And now I knit enough length for the tummy. Tummy actually should stop earlier because you don't want to get dirty there because dog has to pee, right? And doesn't have to be in half. So I took a little bit from begin marker to the other side, maybe same stitch number, right? And put the temporary marker there. And I just want you to make sure which side you're knitting right now and you will be knitting. My next row is wrong side, which means, okay, I have to knit back piece only again. And if next row is wrong side, stop before the tummy marker and then you turn around and start, knitting wrong side of the back. If next row is right side, you have to knit all the way down to the, the yellow marker front piece. You have to knit front piece across. And then start knitting right side of the back piece. So you have to make sure which side you will be knitting. Again, this is my end of right side. Another word, next row will be my wrong side. So there you go. This is the time I have to stop. Because now I want to knit wrong side. Again, you have to knit in flat only for back piece because this is only for stopping stop knitting tummy, but you need to knit a little bit longer for back piece. You know what I'm saying? I hope you understand. Okay, so and I'm not gonna divide in half, exact half, and because you just need a little bit space for peeing. That's about it. So you transfer the tummy stitch onto the stitch holder again and then start knitting back piece only. However, this time I would like to decrease one stitch for both sides every other row on right side. This is easy. I usually do same thing for just a regular dog sweater. I want little carve on the side of the dog sweater. So if it's wrong side, no decreasing. And if it's right side, I already knit the wrong side. So this is right side for me. and SSK right away. First 2 stitch SSK and knit over knit until the back design comes. And back design, follow my written instruction and then knit until last 2 stitch. This is still right side, same row, and last 2 stitch knit 2 together. And you just have to repeat wrong side and right side until your desired length. So 1 stitch both side, total of 2 stitch you decrease on same right side of the row. Okay, so I knit quite long. There we go. So now, if you wanna knit just regular, dog sweater, just reconnect. Same as usual. In other words, if you don't need to knit the belt, just reconnect again, wrong side, and on the side you just knit up and then knit front piece and reconnect again. And then add in the, the rib. That's about it. However, I'm going to add belt and try to do seamless. So for me, I'm not going to reconnect. So face to right side. And then I'm going to knit up on the side of the sweater. So pretty much reconnect without front piece. And try to, knit up same number for both sides. So make sure to count. And if you want to be so perfect, okay, whenever you want to add rib, you want to maybe knit with, start with knit stitch and end of the knit stitch for right side. The stitch number has to be multiple of 2 plus 1. So you can start with knit and end with knit stitch. It's really up to you. It doesn't show anyway. So, and here it comes. When you knit enough, you start knitting back piece. And then you knit up the other side as well. Then after that, I'm going to start ribbon. Almost there, so hung in there. And this is actually pretty much same as the, regular dog sweater. So just be patient. And there we go. I knit up, I reconnect without front piece. So still, I'm knitting in flat. So this is wrong side. So I'm going to start with purl because my total stitch count is multiple of 2 plus 1 because I want to be perfect. So I start with purl stitch and end with purl stitch. You don't have to, okay? And just, knit until your desired length and bind off. Now let's move on to the belt. Okay, because I finished the, rib for side and back. It's kind of cute. And now I'm adding belt. Make cast as many as you want. I made 80 new cast on. Okay? And transfer all the front stitch onto needle. The other side of the needle. You should. Okay, so super easy. After the back piece done, you start with new cast. Just make the cast. If you want to know the length, use my, gauge formula. I made 80 cast. And here comes. After that, I'm just start knitting. Connect. That's about it. Well, it's not about it, but, just connect with front piece. Make sure you're facing onto right side of the front piece. Okay? Just knit across. And again, this belt, if you want to, start with knit and purl with knit, has to be multiple of 2 plus 1. And now you finish the knitting front piece. Then now I'm adding new cast. Same number as the cast I made. So I add 80 new cast. That's going to be the belt. And then start ribbon. This is wrong side for me. So start with purl and knit. Repeat of knit 1 and purl 1 until your desired length, and then bind off. I'm not going to show you everything. And, I did knit about less than inch. That was enough for the belt. If you're knitting for bigger dog, maybe thicker. It's really up to you. And I'm so glad that I did this. It's so cute. My dog, he doesn't need the belt because he's skinny enough and he's small enough, right? But it's so cute when I, wrap that belt on top of his sweater, and, this was so cute. And he looks a little bit like, the girl dog, but I just love it. Okay? So, if you wrap around the tummy, even, the quite small tummy, it won't hang, right? That was the purpose of knitting the belt. Anyway, let's move on to the sleeve. You don't have to knit long sleeve like that. Okay, it's really up to you. However, you should knit something around that, leg, because it's not really cute. It's kind of raw edge looking, right? So easy. Transfer all the stitches back onto the needle and knit up around and start ribbon. That's all. So I don't really have to, show you everything. Okay. I transfer and start knitting up around. And this time you're knitting in round. So if you want to start with knit and end with purl, this stitch count has to be multiple of 2. This is it. So I'm not gonna, tell you what I'm doing, because knit up and start ribbon and bind off. Let me tell you this. First of all, I'm so glad this Great Dane mama sent me the photo of her dog with the sweater on, because again, I knew my dog sweater is size adjustable. However, for that big dog, I wasn't quite sure because I've never, knitted it for big dog, right? But now I'm pretty sure you can do it, right? But sometimes you need to make some arrangement to fit your dog, better, comfortable, and they can move easily, right? So, um, anything, you should be creative and don't be scared, to be creative. Sometimes it fails, but so what, you know? Anyway, this is the zigzag cable I really like. And this is the front piece with the belt. The tummy is big enough for my dog. And this is the sweater uh, for Great Dane. Big thank you for sending me photo. And this is so creative. The front piece, she add a rib to kind of make it a little smaller for tummy, because again, big chest and small waist, so has to be. And she add, the pleat, not around, so it's not hanging. This is perfect big dog sweater. I love it. Thank you very much again. And this is for 10-pound Yoki. Look at this, the side. It's kind of cute, right? Anyway, thank you for watching and see you next time. Enjoy knitting. Bye for now.